Ho, 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 Heat Nation. Welcome on in. A complete win tonight for your Miami Heat. They handle the Charlotte Hornets 115 to 104 after some sloppy joes there in the first half. Miami Heat with about 2 minutes left in the second quarter. They start putting the clamps on this one and really were in very good control of this thing throughout the entire way. A great third quarter to have them with a big-time lead going into the fourth. Yeah, of course, you're sitting squeaky cheeks a little bit. You're always wondering, all right, is this going to be the game where it's going to be a clutch game? What's going to go on here? No. Miami Heat, huge night tonight, being able to sit Jimmy Butler in the fourth quarter and Kyle Lowry on the front end of a home back-to-back. They got the Chicago Bulls tomorrow. Well done by the Miami Heat. So many great performances tonight for your Miami Heat. Let's start off with Duncan Robinson just continues his nuclear shooting right now. Today, 23 points for the dunk yard dog. He was 6 of 9 from downtown. Very nice. And Eric Reed said this on the broadcast. I was unaware, but now the Miami Heat after this one, 6-0 when Duncan Robinson scores at least 20 points, which is a stat that makes sense, but it is good to know he kept that trend going today. As he gave the Miami Heat 40 brilliant minutes for Duncan Robinson today. For Jimmy Butler, just was, really dictated a lot for his teammates today. He did such a marvelous job of getting guys involved. He had 10 assists today. Definitely wasn't one of those games where he was looking for his shot, but the Hornets were sending a ton of double teams his way, and so he was making them pay. I mean, he really punished them today. He still had some really pretty baskets. I mean, him and Jaime Jaquez Jr., it's like a Spider-Man meme with them looking at each other. They both had this beautiful, Jaime Jaquez, this footwork this kid has. But then his favorite player is Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler has the beautiful moves. And it's just like, you had this thing where it was a block from Caleb, hit on Gordon Hayward, and Jimmy Buckets with the spin move. But like minutes beforehand, I had seen Jaime Jaquez. He had the beautiful footwork that was just, they shouldn't even call it footwork. It should be foot art. That's what it is. It's as an artsman, it's glorious to see Jaime Jaquez Jr. and the way that he is able to do things. There was something going on with the right corner in the first half today because you had this beautiful spinning assist from Caleb Martin to find Duncan Robinson today. Kyle Lowry, he was nailing it in that corner today. And then, of course, Caleb Martin did his thing where he is the greatest at toe on the line, long two. It's the most unstoppable shot in basketball. He was an absolute menace in that fourth quarter. But his first score is maybe his signature shot. He's really great at that. Also want to give a shout out today to Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant, who has seen his minutes dwindle this season. Thomas Bryant had a couple of huge buckets, but was also just bringing like such energy, man. He had this huge offensive rebound and then dunk on Nick Richards and just like was like flexing on him the entire way down the court. I'm surprised he honestly didn't get teed up. He was that fired up. He was just like hulking up on it. So he was enjoying that. And then he got a beautiful putback and just starts he was just like pointing to the floor, the and one. He was fired up today. So I love what Thomas Bryant brought to the table. He closed this thing out nice in the fourth quarter as well for Miami. But the game really swung there late in the near the end of the first half. They come out. And what's the big thing? Right out of the gate, Kyle Lowry, 3-ball, Duncan Robinson, 3-ball. And Miami's on a 19-0 run, basically continuing on. Then Kyle Lowry, he hits a runner, so they keep it moving, keep it going, and you just love there was just never a let up today from Miami. Charlotte, they're a good 3-point shooting team. They did not have a great shooting night from downtown tonight, but this was one of those nights where it's like they did get a little bit window dressing there late. So Terry Rozier was hitting some bombs, which Terry Rozier will do. Like if you were a Heat fan and you were maybe getting that second half Hornets plus money on the point spread, you were probably thinking that Terry Rozier is going to go crazy, and he kind of did there at the end. That being said, their struggles early, they just really couldn't make up for it. And The only thing that was really kind of keeping them around early on was Miami was so sloppy in the first half, 14 turnovers, and that had led to this game kind of being close. But once they cleaned it up, Miami really didn't have any issues whatsoever. They come back in this third quarter, and, you know, there's a couple of things. Like, one of them has to be said with this Jaime Jaquez Jr. dude, because he's just marvelous. And today, we know about the footwork, we know about the confidence that he has in his polished offensive bag and all that type of stuff. But today, it was funny because it was literally like whenever Jimmy didn't have the ball, Jaime was doing the Jimmy stuff. So, like, if you look at their lines today, Jimmy took less shots. Jaime was 7 of 16, but 17 points. Jaime, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. Jimmy Butler today, he had 15 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds. They each had a steal. They're like, it's like looking in a mirror, dude. It's a wild thing, man. It's a wild thing to see what this kid said he was going to be coming into the league and what he has brought forth. But that's wild, dude. Like, their stat lines, Jaime played a little bit more because he played, I think, the whole fourth quarter. Jimmy didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, that looked a little, maybe it skews things a little bit, but it's still a hilarious thing to look at, to see where they both finished at, some of the moves that they had. And Jaime had the one play that was really the play of the day for me with him is he had this beautiful move where he's just on the run, where Duncan Robinson, they force a miss on Brandon Miller, who was kind of, we're talking rookie of the year battle. Brandon Miller did some impressive stuff in the second half. He had a terrible first half. But Jaime Jaquez Jr. just like gets on the run, tight little crossover, boom, down into the paint with his beautiful footwork, doing his thing again, man, and extended the Heat lead, I think, to that point at 18. Just marvelous, man. And then he had this beautiful little bounce pass to Jamal Cain, and then finally really put the dagger in it with a kick to the corner for Duncan Robinson. So he was not just a guy who, this has been, he's just such a well-rounded player. It is so exciting to have a guy like this infused into the team. He's been the most fun part of the regular season. Yeah, you got a lot of great performances tonight. And Duncan, what can you say? You just got to give him his flowers. Caleb Martin looks completely back within his comfort zone. Kyle Lowry was looking for his shot tonight. He was fantastic. And Jimmy was just kind of the connective tissue for everything, because they didn't, when you don't have Kyle in there, you don't really have anybody run this offense right now. And I think this is 3 straight games for Jimmy with at least 8 assists. So big win. As I said, coming into this week, I wanted at least 3-1 with the 4 games against Chicago and the Hornets. So you get 2 down. Back-to-backs are never easy. We'll see what ends up happening when it comes to the return of Tyler Hero. It does feel like that is getting closer. The reports are that it could be sometime within the next week. You see him put the workout videos out there. That seems to hint that things are going in the right direction. He and Bam were both on the bench. I thought Bam has been on the bench. I think it's smart still getting him some rest. You don't want this thing lingering all season. This is certainly a schedule that I think the Miami Heat can take advantage of even without him. I think ideally you'd like them both back for Monday. Like, you'd like to have if we're going to talk about like regular season measuring stick games, you have Monday night, the T-Wolves coming in, and Minnesota has been absolutely marvelous this season. So I think that, I don't know if you want to get their feet wet on Saturday, if it's a possibility, or if you just want to bring them back for that Minnesota game. But that would be, to me, the one where I would circle and say, hey, that you got next week, you got Minnesota. I believe you have Orlando as well next week, who's obviously been off to a really, really great start to the season. And you would like to have, for these next, if you can get through these next 2 without them, the next 4 is Minnesota, Orlando, Atlanta, Philadelphia. And that's obviously, much more challenging list than what you got this week. And I got to just say, man, just very impressive night tonight. Love seeing the energy from everybody. I love watching Jamal Cain play, man. He just brings he just never gives up on a play. I love his confidence. And, J. Rich did not play today. Didn't mention that. J. Rich was out with a headache. But Jamal Cain, I thought, did an admirable job. He always seems to just find the cracks in the right place to be in the right way to make a play. Really, really great. Fun night tonight for the Miami Heat. Fun game. They shared the ball. Fantastic tonight. And get themselves a very convincing win. Never was one of those where you're like, oh, here we go. Maybe it knocked on the door there. It got to like 12, 13, but Miami always seemed to have an answer. And basically, towards the end of that second quarter, this was theirs in complete control the whole way. And set themselves up pretty with not having to play Jimmy going into tomorrow night against the Chicago Bulls.